The Super Smash Bros. Series is often used as a standard for not just the entire platform fighter genre, but the entire art of fighting game character design. Even with all this prestige, it hasn't stopped its die-hard fans from critiquing this standard. I feel like ever since Smash for Wii U, the standard for character design in this subgenre has risen. From Mega Man's barrage of long-range weaponry ripped straight from his home games to Shulk's dynamic stat-altering Monado arts, there was this trend of pushing the envelope for platform fighter character design. There was a larger emphasis on making characters feel closer to how they played in their own series, adding a wide array of new mechanics and ideas to the Wii U installment. This constant reinvention of character design conventions caused many fans to question the quality of the veteran fighters. As the scope for the roster and the ideas it presented ballooned in the next installment for the Nintendo Switch, the demand for a reimagining of the veteran movesets grew louder. Many of these critics feel as though the older fighters' movesets don't reflect how the characters have changed throughout the years. They also feel as though these older fighters lack the ingenuity and innovation of the newer cast members. While I'm all for reconsidering and exploring old ideas, I'm a little skeptical for a full-scale reboot. I feel like much of these discussions emerge from the concept of the Smash Bros. Series being a gaming hall of fame and not a series of games with its own identity and design philosophy. While I could talk about this idea for a long time, for the sake of brevity, I'll give you the cliff notes on my counters to this line of thinking. For one thing, I feel like striving for accuracy is irrelevant, or at the very least feels like a fruitless endeavor. Super Smash Bros. Isn't a museum, it's also a piece of art in and of itself. Each title has its own design goals, from its presentation to the feel of gameplay. As such, the series can't make one-to-one copies of characters. The biggest reason completely faithful recreations of characters are impossible is due to the change in genre. While there are a few characters that originate from fighting games or action games, none of the roster originates from a platform fighter. As such, interpretation is needed when making sure that every character has enough moves to function as a fully fledged character. Every character needs to be able to jump at least twice, needs to be able to grab, shield, or use normal, smash, or special attacks. For most of the cast, they are incapable of doing some of these functions in their own games. Another thing worth considering is that Smash Bros. Is a series with a visual identity of its own. It's easy for fans to view the series exclusively as a museum for representing gaming franchises rather than an art piece in and of itself with its own aesthetic goals. The series is making deliberate choices in how it wants to portray its characters to contribute to a consistent identity. It isn't enough for the games to bring in hundreds of characters. There's also an effort to establish a sense of cohesion and even some semblance of aesthetic integrity. Ultimately, every element of these games is working towards a greater artistic whole. Some choices that might seem to fly in the face of tradition might be working towards the establishment of a greater identity. Most importantly, interpretations are made to establish a clear gameplay plan for each character. Movesets should be contributing to a consistent idea or concept in order for a player to get a clear idea of how the fighter should be played. It's easy to forget that for most people, the Smash series will be many players' first platform fighter or even fighting game in general. A large part of the series' appeal comes from its accessibility. Many novices will likely test out the special moves of a fighter and immediately get a simplistic understanding of how a character should be played. All of these points bring us to the topic of our discussion, Donkey Kong. Many people feel as though Donkey Kong is due for a revamp. I personally feel as though Donkey Kong's design is contributing to a specific vision, and while choices for his moveset may seem unconventional, changes made to make him feel more faithful could create an entirely new character. Let's examine what makes this character tick, and also explore how other platform fighters attempt to recreate the Kong. So, who is Donkey Kong in Smash Bros? Donkey Kong is the closest equivalent to a traditional fighting game grappler. He is a heavyweight who uses his long range and immense strength to pressure and corner his opponents. When his opponents are in position, he uses his versatile grabs to start deadly combos or kill off stage. Ultimately, the Kong's goal is to condition opponents to move into advantageous positions for attacking. Donkey Kong has a variety of tools to achieve this goal. His main pressure tool is his Charge Punch. DK charging his neutral special forces his opponents to come up to him to try and interrupt his charge. This conditioning opens his enemies up for grabs. His other specials act as punishments for reckless aggression. his side special buries his opponents into the ground, his down special pops them up into the air, and his grounded up special hits multiple times. Alongside these tools, his tilts, smashes, and aerials all cover significant areas around him, forcing opponents to counterattack strategically. All of Donkey Kong's tools help to establish a character that creates an imposing force that opponents have to maneuver around. This particular design does come in conflict with many fans' expectations of what Donkey Kong should be. There have been many requests for DK's neutral special to be replaced with his iconic barrel toss. Giving DK a projectile has major consequences for his design. The first problem with adding a projectile is its potential redundancy. DK's theme is all about conditioning and aerial denial, which he's able to achieve from attacks from his long limbs. One trade-off for his immense strength in range is his poor mobility. Giving him a projectile allows him to cover more space on the stage that he wouldn't be able to with a slow movement speed. It would sand away a distinct weakness and make him a less bespoke character. You might notice that the few heavy characters with projectiles tend to balance this increased threat coverage with shorter range on normal moves or sluggish movement speed. Another important consequence of adding a projectile is to Donkey Kong's characterization. DK is portrayed as a wild animal in Smash Bros., a fighter who is driven by impulse and instinct rather than discipline. While it would be reductive to call him mindless, more appropriate descriptors would be spontaneous or reactive. Notice how DK often fights with quick, open palm swipes and erratic jabs. This helps to demonstrate DK as not someone who is disciplined, but as a dynamic and uninhibited fighter who thinks on his feet and lives in the moment. Giving a character a projectile, regardless of how animalistic or idiotic they may be portrayed, helps to demonstrate a distinct level of forethought and planning. Throwing out a projectile means that the character is attempting to create space or attack from distances that they can't naturally reach. While this kind of characterization might fit for other versions of Donkey Kong, it might not necessarily fit for his Smash Bros. Iteration. But we don't have to follow the rules. We live in the beautiful year of 2025 and we can do whatever we want. So let's give DK a projectile. But does this mythical character even exist? Lucky for us, we only have to take a quick stop into the world of Aether. Crag, from the Rivals of Aether franchise, iterates on DK's design in a few interesting ways. For one thing, he's a heavy character with a projectile. This change, alongside the design philosophy of the Aether series, helps to contribute to a divergent design and characterization. Rivals' emphasis on giving its casts tools for stage control gave Crag tools to pressure his opponents from a much longer range. His most important tool is his neutral special, Stone. Stone replaces Charge Punch as his core pressure tool. Alongside being able to toss the stone in a variety of directions, Crag can also break the stone into shards for extra damage. His down special, Headbutt, creates stone spikes that grow from the ground to threaten the space in front of him. Another important tool is his up special, which creates a massive stone pillar that can cut off parts of the stage if placed strategically. Compared to DK, Crag can threaten way more parts of the stage. While Crag has incredible stage control, this comes with the drawbacks of shorter range on his light and heavy attacks alongside slower movement than the rest of the cast. Interestingly, the shorter range on his normal attacks contributes to most of his characterization. Compared to DK, Crag fights with closed fists and fast, deliberate jabs. He's more defensive, never letting his body be exposed for too long. These normal attacks, in conjunction with his special attacks, help to paint him as a more intentional and disciplined fighter who takes every battle seriously. What if I told you there was a secret third Kong brother who is more exaggerated in his design? And what if I told you that he wasn't a monkey but a rhinoceros? Rocksteady, from Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2, is a much more extreme iteration on the DK Crag archetype with a greater focus on pressuring from a distance. Rocksteady's extremes start with his stubby normals. While he does pack a punch, he really relies on his special moves and a few key normals to do his pressuring. His key tool for zoning is his forward strong attack, which appropriate for this discussion is a barrel. By charging and holding a direction, Rocksteady can influence how far the barrel bounces. His up tilt is a barrage of laser blasts that command the air above him. He has a simple pea shooter as his neutral special for pressuring opponents from afar. Lastly, he can throw out a spread of bombs with his down special to lock down a portion of the stage. His specials can also be enhanced with Nick Brawl 2's Slime Meter. One example involves transforming his tiny laser shots into powerful shotgun blasts. Similar to Crag, Rocksteady's focus on playing the distance game helps to convey a distinct sense of proficiency and intentionality in battle. This intentionality is often used for humorous contrast to his actual nature as a bumbling oaf. Looking at these examples, it's clear to see how even the slightest changes can make for dramatically divergent designs. Now, this isn't to say this is a bad thing. In fact, Crag and Rocksteady are some of my favorite characters to play in their respective games. The thing that makes their designs shine is their intentionality. The designers of their games took into consideration the appropriate trade-offs for giving characters unparalleled zone coverage and made well-rounded character concepts that are fun to play as they are to fight against. When it comes to critique of Smash Bros. Designs, there's a desire for maximalism, for every character to check every proverbial box of what references should be included. These examinations tend to forget that the quiet secret to fun fighting game characters is often all of their tools working towards a cohesive game plan. That identity can be defined not just by what a character is proficient in, but also what they struggle against. It might be more tempting to make a character capable of every single thing they've ever done in their home series to achieve the ultimate tribute. However, in pursuit of that goal, the design loses specificity. Donkey Kong fills a distinct niche in the Smash Bros. Series shaped by his strengths and weaknesses. While there have been many interpretations that have been capable of so much, this platform fighting primate is one of a kind.